What is up, Ashley Jones? So honored to have you on the podcast today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Annabelle. Thanks for having me.
Let's go, Ashley. I can't wait to talk about just what it's been like so far at Colorado, your cross country journey, and your heart for Jesus. But first, I love to ask all the guests on the What's Up podcast what they are all about at the moment. It could be something big, it could be something small, like a life hack or a new food. So, what is Ashley all about right now?
Oh my gosh, great question. Well, I just decorated my apartment for Christmas, so I'm all about that right now. And I'm on a sourdough kick. I've gotten family members making sourdough, so that's been super fun. And so, all about being with family for the holiday season and friends. And yeah, training still going full steam. So, I'm always all about that. But yeah, really enjoying the time of year in Colorado because it's just can be magical with the snowstorms. So really enjoying that right now.
I bet it is beautiful. And I have to ask you about the sourdough because I recently heard a friend basically describe the whole bread making process to me, and it was way harder than I ever imagined. So, for when I do get in my sourdough era, give me
hmm
one piece of advice.
Yes, I think it's so funny. I've been talking to so many people about this because I feel like people are entering into their sourdough making era. But you just have to be patient. I mean, it takes a while to figure out how it works and how to be successful in it. So just, yeah, being patient with yourself and knowing that it might not turn out the first time, but a couple times after that, it's probably going to be great. So just being patient with yourself.
Trust the
Yeah.
process. Hey, I'm gonna need that advice. So that
Yeah.
was great advice for me because I was making pasta recently at a bachelorette and I by far was the worst person there. It was like, I'm just, kneading dough. So I got a lot to work on. So great advice. But I know we'll talk about running and all the things, but do go to school still. And I do think it's important to ask you about that. So you're getting your second master's right now. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I know. I was just recounting a little bit of what's going on in my life, like from the standpoint that I will be getting my second master's. In April, I'll be graduating from the organizational leadership master's here at Colorado after finishing my first master's at Tennessee in sports psychology and motor behavior. So I've definitely been on a fast track through these master's programs, which has just been wild, but so grateful for both of the masters and both of the different learning curves of each. My undergrad and the first master's was very much science based in kinesiology, biomechanics, all that stuff, and then tying in some psych. And now more business focused in organizations and leadership and all the different facets of business that I haven't been exposed to yet. So it's been super fun. And so graduating April, really excited to be officially done with school for the time being. I can maybe see myself like coming back to school at another time, but excited to be done for the time being. Yeah.
Dang, that is a lot, but awesome. I'm sure your brain is like, boom, 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 like filled with information, but so cool that you just have the opportunity, right, to learn so much and to, hear different things and really find out. I think the cool part about school is that you find out what you're really interested in, right? And when you get to take classes, I think college gets better as you go on in the school
hmm
part because you start taking classes that you really like and they're not those cores that you have to take, and it's really engaging and can be really fun. But you did mention just how beautiful Colorado is at this time of year, and I know you went to Valor Christian, which is so cool because
Yes.
I have a lot of good friends who actually went there as well. And so just being back at Colorado, what has that been like for you?
It's been wonderful. I mean, it's been a full circle moment for me, which has just been sweet in so many ways, in so many areas of my life. And to be closer to my family and see them more than I have in 5 or 6 years has been so sweet for our relationships. And my mom is like one of my best friends. And so just to be able to see each other like once every 2 weeks has been just amazing, or to go down and see them and see my family, just South Denver has been wonderful. And then I never spent significant time in Boulder when I was in high school. And so I am learning the city and getting to meet people here, which has just been wonderful. But then also having the familiarity of the mountains and the different seasons, and I love it here, and so really grateful to be back, and training at altitude has been fun again. Definitely an adjustment from high school, but it's been wonderful. So just a yeah, great full circle moment of spending more time with my family, and my little brother, getting to see him grow up more has been wild, just because I haven't seen that process either, being away at school, and just love the community already that I'm building in Boulder. So it's been wonderful.
It's so awesome. And I got to go to school really close to home. I went to Boston College and I grew up like 20 minutes away. And I can so relate to you on the little brother thing because I mean, I'm 20 minutes away. Like, I can see my brother at his high school games and all those things, but I did come home one year and he just grew crazy, like way taller than I was. And I had this moment, I started like bawling my eyes out, like, what happened to you? Like, where did this
Yes.
come from? But it is such a gift, I think, as an older sister to be
Yeah.
able to be close in proximity to your younger siblings. I think it's a really awesome thing. But I have to ask you about the altitude. Like, what is that like? I know you're used to it in a way. You have some history with
Yeah.
it, but how does that maybe even just give you an advantage?
Yeah. It's been a process of learning and adapting to training at altitude for sure. Again, just because obviously training at the high school caliber is a lot different than what I'm trying to train at now. And so with fueling and recovery and all the different facets, that it's not like I didn't take that. And like that wasn't a priority for me in high school, but so much more to the degree that I am now. So yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment. And it's hopefully in translation a an advantage. And so just training to make sure you're not putting yourself in a hole where you're training too hard at altitude and overdoing it. But then yeah, using it to your benefit. So it's been great. But it's definitely a lot harder than sea level. But the hope again is like when you go back to sea level is you have an advantage and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much oxygen here. I love it. So yeah, but it's been fun. I think it was strange for me to go to North Carolina and Tennessee where it was super humid, so you're dealing with a totally different element of feeling like you can't take a full breath, and like some would say the same with altitude, but just feeling more comfortable at altitude since I started my running career at altitude. That's been great to come back to that familiarity for sure.
Yeah, the elements are real, right? And I definitely think you're so correct in putting some respect on the humidity's name because
Yes,
I
for
moved
sure.
from Seattle, Washington, kind of a similar climate in a way in certain seasons to Colorado. And I remember moving to Nashville, Tennessee and
Mm.
trying out for my first soccer team and the coach like pulled me out of the tryout because my face was beet red and like I get red easily working out anyway. I'm beet red. I feel fine internally, but he brought me over to my mom like, "She's gotta sit down. We don't want something to happen to her." It just my body had never faced humidity like that before or just some serious heat, and so, yeah, you've definitely gotten your fair share, of all of those different climates, but just with this Colorado cross country team, do you have a favorite memory so far with them this year? Maybe it's running or just hanging out?
Well, first of all, I just think the team is excellent. I really love all the women on the team, and they're just beautiful souls, and they've been so supportive. This has been a different semester than I've had in my college career, just dealing with a little bit of an injury on the front end of this semester. And so they've just been so supportive and people that have really had my back, and good and bad days, they're just like right there cheering me on. And so it's been wonderful just knowing that we're all doing our individual part to be better as a collective. And that's been great. So super hard workers. They're just really intentional with the things that they do. And I just respect them so much. So they're a wonderful team. And as far as a favorite memory, we have so fun like at practice. When I've come back from this injury, I enjoy our runs like up the canyon. It's a beautiful run, like with the mountains, and you're kind of like in a canyon going up towards the mountains. So love those runs. Was just recently at nationals and traveled with the team there, and that was a sweet trip, to be together and get to know everyone on an individual basis, just too, because I'm still relatively new to the team, so getting to know everyone, and I just think that they're a great group. So yeah, I love
That's
hanging out with them. They're
awesome.
good. Yeah.
So good to hear because you've made a few moves, right? And
Mhm.
you know the team maybe from like social media or girls that you've known in the past or just, when you go on a recruiting visit, but you don't actually ever really know until you're there. And I think that is so special that you're able to have that, as one of your last college experiences. But you have made a few jumps. You started at High Point, then go to Tennessee,
Mhm.
now Colorado. And it seems like in the last couple years, just this college athlete environment has been one that people do move around a good amount. And
Mhm.
so I'd love to know, like, when you did make those moves, what was that decision making process like? And really, what did you lean on? Because those are big time decisions.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, great question. I think both of those moves were very different for me. So when I was at High Point, when I made the move to Tennessee, that was a time in my life where I was still really trying to gauge what and who I was as an athlete and my abilities in the sport of running and what I wanted out of it. And so growing a lot in my 3 years at High Point, I just was ready to take a leap of faith and, enter the transfer portal my junior year. And I don't know if I would recommend like transferring your senior year, but by all means, went for it. And my transfer to Tennessee was like the craziest jump going from small Division 1 to big SEC, and definitely learned a lot. I don't feel like when I transitioned into Tennessee that I just felt like the community completely embraced me, and it was a really smooth transition with the team, with training, with the coaching staff, and just all the other elements of being at Knoxville. I really connected with the campus ministry there, and they're dear friends in my life still. And so that was a wonderful transition. I loved getting to know the town of Knoxville and really appreciated my time there. And I feel like this move to Colorado was for many other reasons, just coming back to home, being closer to family, having the familiarity in a coaching staff again. And so just different reasons. But I feel like in all the moves, the desire was to just continue to see where my abilities could be stretched and to challenge myself. And I think that's been a wonderful gift for me. I'm really glad and grateful that I've had the chance to now make two moves and to experience various coaching staffs, various different team environments. And so for that reason, I'm really grateful. And I've learned a lot. And I could probably talk about that for a long time of all the lessons I've learned in the two transfers. But um, yeah, I think it was hard to a certain degree of building new community I was at Tennessee for 2 years and then have been here for a couple months now. And building community at new places is definitely challenging. And that's stretched me a lot too. But the Lord provides, like, where every place that I was, He provided amazing friends and amazing people of faith and mentors. And just in seemingly foreign towns, they became home really quick. So I am incredibly grateful for that.
It's so cool that you mentioned that because I think it's so easy to just go to a new school and be all about your one team and
Hmm.
like kind of have blinders on in a way. And college is so fun. Like college is so fun. And whether you're on a sports team or you're not. And the best times that I had in school were when I was involved in as many different groups as possible. And so you mentioned just the ministry groups that you were involved in. I know in Tennessee 110, would you mind just
Yes.
like expanding on really like, and that's something you have to do, right? You have to
Hmm.
go into the group and throw yourself out there. Could you just elaborate on what that group really was and why it was so important for you to get involved?
Oh, I mean, when I recall my memories of 110 at Tennessee, I mean, I could not encourage people more to get connected to a campus ministry of people that are so about faith for real. And how I describe it to people, it's like the first time in my life when I was a part of a group where so quickly I understood what it meant when scripture said, like, we are brothers and sisters in Christ. And they just treated me like a sister and had my back. And even when we didn't know each other right away, like, really well, they still had my back and they were challenging me to grow in my understanding of the scriptures, challenging me in my prayer life and growing my understanding of the scriptures. And it was just wonderful and a community where I felt so seen and loved. And I think that was one of the greatest gifts that I was given at Tennessee, was to be connected to that group of people. Where I was just at a wedding recently and I got to catch up with all of them. And I was so emotional because I saw everyone in one place after moving to Colorado. And you don't understand fully all the time what you have until you don't have it. I knew it was good when I had it, but I knew, like, to the greatest extent when I saw them again, truly what their friendship means in my life. And so grateful that we're still in contact with one another and encourage each other and again, like, challenge each other and grow each other in our faith. And so it was an amazing point of my life, and just really grateful for the boldness that it instilled in me of the truth and the gospel, and really prepared me to come to Colorado. That's a very different environment of faith than the South. And that's what's been really amazing for me to see in translation how to articulate my faith in different settings and how to approach people that come from different backgrounds. And because of that, just really grateful for the mentorship and the friendships of 110.
I love that, and I can so relate to just how hard it is to stay in touch with people when you're not in college with them, right? You're not like, "Oh, yeah, we live across the hallway," or whatever. It's hard, and so you have to plan, "Hey, can I call you at this time?" Like, you have to plan phone
Yes.
calls at this point, and I think it's so important, but I think the boldness too comes from just strength in numbers, right? And there are
Mhm.
gonna be seasons of your life when you don't have those numbers all around you, and it's just cool to hear how the Lord really prepared you during that season to now walk into a different environment in just a different state, right? Like completely. And so I love to hear that. I just think it's one of the cooler parts about college is when you can
Mhm.
invest in your athlete Bible study. But I do have to bring up this memory that I have from Tennessee because I was actually at a Tennessee Vanderbilt football game last fall.
Okay.
And it was in Nashville, but I was definitely in the thick of the Tennessee fan zone. And
Yes.
engraved in my head for the rest of my life is this: "It's a great day to be a Vol. It's a great day to be a Vol." That whole chant the whole time.
Yep.
And so I have to ask you, Ashley, when you look back at some of your great days to be a Vol, is there a specific memory that sticks out, maybe, on or off the course?
Yeah, yeah. No, I have so many amazing memories from Tennessee. And yeah, I completely agree with what you just said. My first college football game ever was a Tennessee game. And so I was like, what
Wait,
am I getting
what?
myself
You'd never been
into?
to a college football game before? Tennessee?
No, before Tennessee, I'd never been to a college football game. So I was like totally immersed into the biggest, best atmosphere of college football right away, which was amazing. So that was really fun. And I think my first year at Tennessee was really special for me. Just getting immersed into the culture of a high caliber team. And I am such good friends still with all the women that were there my first year and the second year. But particularly the first year was just so sweet. The team did really well. They placed sixth at nationals that year, and that was just an incredible memory that I still have of both that day, but then the build up and the hard work towards that day, and then after, just being able to reflect back on all those amazing friendships and the fun travel trips we had together, and just like so grateful too for friendships of, like, my roommate Callie and I are best friends, and she was my roommate at Tennessee. And we just have so many fun memories together of exploring Knoxville, and also because of 110 getting to know athletes from different sports. And so um friends on the rowing team, friends on the swim team, and getting able to, like, being able to meet people from all different backgrounds and getting to know different sports and cheer them on. So yeah, Knoxville is all about sports, and it is so all about Tennessee. And I'd never experienced that before, of being in a town that, they are definitely a town without the University of Tennessee, but I would argue that they are very much centered solely around the university. And so that was, the school spirit there was so fun too. And being able to truly lean into that and all the aspects that Tennessee had to offer, and being a part of incredible programs of growing your leadership skills and growing your exposure to ministry and serving. Those are amazing memories too.
I can imagine just how fun that would be to go to school in a place that was all about the university and all as an athlete too, like all about their athletics. I think it is so fun and really just to see from what you're saying, like how it built you on a faith level and your
Hmm.
boldness in your faith, I think is like obviously the most important part of your experience. And I did notice that you make these amazing videos on your social media and you have this message of what's stopping you. And
Hmm.
anyone who's listening, if you haven't seen Ashley's videos, you need to go listen. Not during this podcast, because we want you to hear the rest of what she has to say, but right after, because Ashley, I could run through a brick wall watching some of these. Like they were
Oh,
amazing. And so
oh,
I
you're
would
so
love
sweet.
to just hear like the story of you creating these videos and maybe even the message of this what's stopping you. But first, just I would love for you to share maybe your story of just becoming an adaptive athlete and maybe even those initial moments, staring
Mhm.
loss in the face because even just from going through your social media and hearing your story over a remote call, like it is so clear that you so live out how the Lord can sustain you.
No, thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, it's been an amazing last couple of years, and really learning to articulate and growing deeper into what the Lord has for my life and the calling he has upon my life. Um and I really came to a stop. I want to go back as you were asking of like what has shaped me to the greatest degree. And two events in my life happened that have really made me experience things that I'd never experienced before. And like you were saying, they've both been a loss to different degrees, but very much losses. And so when I was 14, in the span of 3 months, like my life completely flipped upside down. And I lost my father in March of my eighth grade year, and he passed away from a sudden heart attack. And then 3 months later, in June, I was involved in an ATV accident. And because of that ATV accident, the vehicle rolled on top of my right arm. And in order to save my life, the doctors amputated my right arm. And and so as I reflect and I do some reflection in my own life of what those 3 months looked like, one, I'm constantly amazed at the strength and the composure and the patience that the Lord gave me as a 14-year-old girl to be able to try to conceptualize what was going on in my life. And losing a loved one that means so much in your life is I say this so many times, I would never want someone to experience that on this side of heaven. And we know loss is real. We know that because of sin, death is inevitable, right? And it's just when you do love someone that you loved, or when you lose someone that you love so much, it's a grief that it's hard to put into words. But loved him very, very much, and still reflecting back on how that continues to impact my life now. Just trying to maneuver grief as it evolves with the years that you get older, and it never goes away. I just think it takes different forms. And grateful to the Lord too that I know He's ultimately my father. And even though I don't have an earthly bound father anymore, I know He is whole, and He is in a place that it's hard to describe, right? In heaven. And I know that He is smiling at the fact that He is in a place that is so whole and so perfect, and being with His Heavenly Father too. And that's what keeps me going too in the hard days. And then becoming an amputee at 14 too was a challenge, to say the least. And it has continued to be a challenge in my life. Again, like really seeing now almost 10 years, I'll be celebrating my life being saved this summer. So 10 years since that day happened. And I recall that day in many different ways, but believe that I received a miracle that day and the Lord saving my life. And when the accident happened, I was losing a lot of blood, and I was on the top of a mountain in Colorado and just prayed, knowing that the Lord is so powerful and he is all powerful. And I was like, Lord, you control the winds and the waves, and I need you to come and see me now. And the friend that I was with at the time, she recalls feeling the bleeding stop. And also, I needed no blood transfusions in the hospital, which didn't make sense considering the fact that my arm was completely exposed. And the only thing that wasn't severed in my arm was my main artery, which is also one of the most fragile things in your arm. So, beyond grateful for my life being saved that day. And because of that, that's kind of the processing that started for me for this journey that you're recalling of what's stopping you, is because I fully believe that I am an adaptive athlete, and I do things that look different than some athletes that aren't amputees, but I fully believe that I am capable, with the Lord's strength and understanding, to step into atmospheres and challenge myself with able-bodied athletes, and to continue to push yourself as an amputee, in the face of grief, in the face of hardship, in the face of challenges, to really see life as a gift, knowing that it's coming from the Father, and knowing that he desires to give us good gifts. And he has been so kind to me over these last couple years of really trying to understand and grieve and step into new opportunities in my life, even in the midst of pain. And I think that the tension of faith is holding many emotions all together. So I truly believe that with the Lord's strength, we're able to hold sorrow and joy simultaneously. And that's what I've felt in my life a lot, is the processing still of pain, even to the present day, but then also feeling the joy and the anticipation of what the Lord has in my life. And so my desire with making those videos, and kind of where that came from, is I'm like, I just want to share the Lord's goodness and how it's unraveled over what he's done vividly in sports in my life, and any other area that someone wants to listen to. But I was like, sports is a great avenue for someone to really feel inspired that they can do it too. One, because of the fact that I'm able to do it, right? Not everyone has the ability to run or to play a sport that they love. And then to be able to do it at the greatest degree that I'm trying to challenge myself to do it at is just been a gift. And so wanted to appreciate the opportunities that the Lord has given me, and then tell people, like, yeah, what is stopping you? And it can be done, even though it might look different, or even though you might be coming from a different background, it can still be done. And have just felt so, I keep using the word grateful, but tremendously grateful for how the Lord has led me this far, and that he continues to grow me deeper into the understanding of my own life because of his life and the understanding of Scripture. And so that's kind of where I'm at now, is just wanting to share and encourage people that even though it's hard, it's not impossible. And to give people hope too, right? Like, that's the calling, is to share with people the hope that is in Christ. And without him, I would not be here. I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am. And I just feel like through this process, I've had amazing community, no doubt. And also, I just feel like there's been moments where I've had to figure things out on my own, especially in the realm of being an amputee, and not having like a pamphlet for like, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. And so a lot of times I feel like it's just been like the Lord and I duking it out against life, and that's been a cool process for me to dive into trust in him and to grow in that aspect.
Well, Ashley, thank you for sharing all of that. And I know that's not easy. And so I so appreciate you just being so raw and honest with your journey and your story. And something I just want to tell you is like, even just from initially first coming across you as a person and as an athlete and going through your social media and talking to people who know you, like I am drawn closer to Jesus by just observing you from afar, from personal conversations I've had, from watching these videos, from hearing what you just write. It is beautiful, and it is so obvious that you've taken the trials in your life and you have done that, and you have chosen to show and reflect the Lord's light in you. It is truly incredible, and something I just want to say about just the loss and about heaven and trusting the Lord is that I also recently lost a father-like figure, my grandfather, who was like a second father to me, and I didn't realize until I needed to realize the
Mm,
reality of heaven and the
mm,
reality of saying, "Thank you, Jesus, for doing what you did on the cross." And when we think about Christmas and we think about Easter, like those holidays, right? Like
mm.
they're not really holidays. Those
Yeah,
events that we put our entire faith in were are have become so much more real to me as knowing what I'm actually saying thank you God for, and in the
right,
hope that we
right.
have. And so I think just as encouragement, like in my life that I've seen, around the holiday seasons and those big,
Mhm.
Easter and Christmas, it's so much more now of a thank you, a
Yeah,
real thank you than it ever has been. And so I'm so excited for that reunion one day and what that will be
yeah,
for everyone who has family members up there. But just even the like you said, it's me and the Lord kind of dueling this out, figuring it out together. That is so real, right? Because you do have to now have this new life. And so I did notice that you got to go to Bethany Hamilton's beautifully restored retreat. And I mean, I kind of wanted one of those flower crowns that I've been seeing these women wear. I'm like, that is the
yeah,
most
beautiful,
beautiful
right?
thing.
Yeah.
Would you mind just explaining like what that experience was like and maybe having the a first glimpse of, "Hey, I am not alone."
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's been incredibly impactful in my life as well to meet a group of women amputees. And so I was connected with Bethany through the World Surf League when I was in the hospital and was actually able to FaceTime her. And it was just an amazing time where I was able to ask questions where honestly I didn't even know what I was asking, but I thought like maybe this is a good question to ask. Very like newly being introduced to the world of an amputee. So like, how do you do this? What does it look like? What is the pain that I'm experiencing? What is that? And so to ask her questions and then to also talk about this retreat that she has for women amputees and now men amputees, which is so beautiful to see that camp also come to life. And so a couple months after my accident happened in June, in October of that year, I flew to Kauai and was able to be a part of their yearly retreat for women amputees. And the retreat emulates Bethany's life. And so it's all about healthy eating and exercising and devotional time in the morning, worship time at night, and surfing, obviously, and just togetherness time and to be able to meet people that are living a life very similarly to you. And we all have our unique lives, right? And unique struggles, but to come as close as you can to someone that is experiencing something that you've experienced is super unique. And so that gave me a chance to ask further questions to really dive into being like, okay, I just felt like and I was the newbie there and very new to this world and so could in a safe place ask, how do you do this? What do you guys struggle with still, maybe years past, or what is something that you've triumphed in? And maybe like 14, maybe I worded it a little differently, but on those lines, and definitely learned so much from the women and was able to come back years after that as well, which has been really beautiful. I can't wait to go back. It just falls right in the middle of cross country season. So since college, have unfortunately not been able to go, but that that group is amazing just because it gives you more of an appreciation for community that really gets each other. And I love those women so, so much. And we still stay in contact. So we have monthly calls, Zoom calls with each other. And it's so cool to see now, years later, where everyone's at and getting married and having kids and just wonderful things to celebrate in life together after you've been through so much. And it's such a bonding experience to be like, I have gone through that too. And also met so many women too that have also been through ATV accidents. And so not the same day, but very similar accidents, and able to talk about their experiences. And so for me, that's just been a unique group of women that has encouraged me so much to keep going and to show again like it can be done because of people that are willing to step out in faith too, and they're willing to become uncomfortable and to try things for the first time. Sometimes at that retreat, like might be our first time all surfing, and maybe we've never surfed and we've never done it as an amputee before. And so it's a group that's just so willing to uphold each other, and we just have so much fun laughing. And so one day, very excited to get back to that. Maybe not as a participant, but maybe as just someone going to cheer them on. And it's unique when you can find, again, like an environment of people that have similar experiences and you're able to relate in conversation and life. So that's been an amazing part of community in my life.
It's so cool that you still get to connect with those women as well on those monthly calls.
Yeah.
I think that's so awesome. And you did mention the surfing, so I have to ask you, and I know you're an elite athlete, okay? How would you rank your surfing skills? 1
Yeah,
to
my
10.
surfing skills, yeah, 1 to 10. They're not great. I can get up on a board, so if that ranks it higher, then so be it, but I'm not great. I definitely have also been removed from it for a little while now, so I'll have to come back to it, but so, so fun. I mean, such a cool sport and, yeah, so fun.
That's awesome. It's a great life skill too to learn. I feel like it's always like a little feather in your cap. Yeah, I can surf. Oh, what? It's like a nonchalant thing to be able to say, but you just mentioned some of those like learning new things with how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that and the questions that you ask. And I have noticed that you do some of these tips and tricks videos on
Mm,
social media. And I think something cool about videos like that are sometimes your intention is to encourage others, but you can actually
mm.
receive some of the encouragement yourself while doing them. So, just curious with maybe it's the tips and trick videos or it's just how you've been outspoken about your faith and your story. Is there a specific person or moment or comment or note to you that really you were meaning to put this out to help others and it actually really filled you up instead?
Yes. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the reason why I want to put out those videos and to tell people, how I put up my hair or how I tie my shoes is just because I want it to be a place where people could go and learn something and not have to struggle through not knowing how to do something. And for me, a lot of other than being exposed to Beautifully Flawed and the women there telling me, hey, this is how I do this in my life, a lot of it has just been me learning how to do it on my own. And especially in the realm of collegiate athletics, like, and figuring that whole aspect of being an amputee by myself. I just want to share the information and encourage each other in that space, encourage anyone that's going through a recent amputation or the loss of function of a limb too. And it's been amazing to receive encouragement from other people that, like you said, have encouraged me. And just got a comment that after one of those tips and tricks videos, it's like, I just became an amputee recently and found your page. And this was like the first time that I'd learned how to do something with one arm. And for me, that just like puts the biggest smile across my face because I don't want people to feel alone and I don't want people to feel alone in the process too of adoption. And it can be very isolating just because you can feel like you're in a minority of like I have to figure this out and I have to do this differently. And little do people know like what I have to do in order to get to where I'm at. And just in a general sense. But yeah, so it's just been wonderful to receive feedback. And obviously, that, like you said, a byproduct that has just been a wonderful gift in wanting to share. And I feel like the Lord has definitely instilled a boldness in that too, to just want to share and share about Christ too. And the conversations with people that I've had about Jesus because of my social media has been wonderful too. And knowing that I'm not perfect and we're all far from perfect, but to be able to come together in the desire to know the Father more and to continue to be sanctified is just an amazing process. So, really grateful for all of it. And yeah, again, don't want people to feel alone. And that's why I want to share.
That's so cool. And on a very not as serious note, I did take something from the trips and tips and tricks. I had always been wondering, what does this beach waiver curling iron do? How does it look when it comes out? And I was like, Ashley, boom, I got to get it.
Yeah.
I saw it. I was like, I
Yeah.
had been waiting for the right tutorial and I saw it. I was like, I needed that today. That was so good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for that. And I think just on all the levels, it's fun to see. And, you mentioned just people might not knowing what
Mhm.
all it takes just to do certain like little mindless things, or even what you're trying to do is compete at the highest level as a runner. And so I know for me, just throughout my athletic career as a lacrosse player, there would be times when I was dealing with a hamstring and it would affect,
Yeah.
my other hip flexor, or I'd be dealing with an ankle and it affects my hip or my back. Just for you, would you mind explaining like, hey, these are the extra things that I got to do just to make sure I'm right physically so I can beat everybody here out on the race course?
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen, even as I've gotten older, how my amputation plays into high caliber training and then correlating into potential injuries. And I'll never know fully whether it's a direct correlation of my amputation, but dealing with a lot of back alignment issues and just having one side weighted down more when you're running and rotating. I don't rotate as much on my right side. And because of that, my back definitely takes a toll, and that kind of trickles down into my lower body. And so I don't know, it's changed. I had a lot of injuries on the right side of my body, and now I'm having a lot of issues on the left side of my body. So definitely a process where I can't. I can't have any slack when it comes to PT and maintaining like um, just my body and especially my back being able to rotate as effectively as possible to not have as much injury in my lower body. But yeah, that's just something I have to stay on top of, as well as being smart about strength training. So in the gym, trying to weight both sides as equally as possible. So I do that with a lot of band work on the right side of my body. And if I'm holding a dumbbell in my left hand, trying to put a band on my right shoulder to have some weight, and trying to also not have as much atrophy on my right side or my right shoulder. And so that's kind of what I've learned so far. Definitely still learning. And yeah, it definitely takes a toll just being like, I don't know if this injury was because of my amputation or not. Have to think that some are, not all, because we all experience injuries as athletes training at a high level. But yeah, been a process for sure.
Can't even imagine, just because I know from seeing the track and cross country teams being in and out of the training room, they're doing an hour of pre warm up, rolling out, treatment, stretches, weight training, all the things. Then they go do their workout, the long distance, especially gone for a longer time. Then they come back and you guys are doing even more, like
Hmm.
significantly different than lacrosse, basketball, ice hockey, football was. And all of the sports combined, and we were all in the same weight room, so I could see. And
Yeah.
so just to know like the extra mile that you're going is so impressive and right, needed, obviously, right, needed, like you're saying. But I think there's so much diligence in it. It is truly incredible. And something that I'd love to go back to that you said earlier, just as an athlete and as a human, you can carry these two things as Christ followers of really experiencing joy and sorrow and pain at the same time. And something that I heard you say earlier is just about the setback that you'd mentioned earlier and that you had faced earlier this fall. And I think you had referred to it on something that I had seen. And you said, I believe the Lord is going to heal me, but I'm
Yeah.
going to do my part. And I
Yeah.
thought that was so awesome because you have to hold both. Like, I believe in God's power and I believe that He is who He says He is and that He can help me,
Yeah.
turn this situation, but I also believe that, like, I gotta do my part and I gotta work as though this depends on me. And so
Yeah.
I think sometimes for athletes that can be like a misconception and something hard to really understand. So would you mind just
Yeah.
describing like how important that is as you're on the bike and you are a hustler and you're like, I gotta work as though it depends on me, but I believe the Lord is going to heal me. Like how important being able to have both of those at the same time is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, thanks for asking. Um, yeah, through that process, I had a mentor here explain the process of healing to me because I prayed a lot for healing in many different aspects of my life, some receiving healing and some still praying for healing, right? And she looked at me and she's like, Ashley, because of the Father and because of the blood that He shed on the cross, you are already healed. Like you have already been given eternal life because you have accepted the Father into your heart. And because of that, you're healed. Like, and even though on this side of heaven, we will experience different um, physical injuries or chronic pain or grief, that's pain within yourself. But just really was leaning into the fact I'm like, I have already received the greatest hope that is in Jesus Christ. And so it's not doubting that his healing is not enough. It's just, as we know too, scripture says, like, you do not work for your faith, you work because of your faith. Like, you have a faith and your belief in Jesus Christ is what saves you. Works do not save you. But because if you truly believe in the Lord and His character and what He says He is, if you believe He's Jehovah Rapha, then walk in that. And that's what I was trying to articulate. And that was my hope, and learned so much over that process of diving into that for my own life through the process of dealing with an injury and knowing that and believing that the Lord is healing me day by day. And so just leaning into the fact of, like, if I truly believe that, then I myself am going to step into that belief. And so I think that can challenge us in a lot of aspects of our life. Like, if we truly believe that the Lord is our Father, then stepping into what that looks like in our life. If we believe that He is a protector, that He is a provider, then stepping in the belief of that. And so it's, again, taught me a lot in my life, and really grateful for all the lessons that I've learned, really leaning into that and knowing that He might decide to physically heal me on this side of heaven, or He'll decide to grow and challenge my faith and continue to grow my roots deep and more reliant on Him. And so feeling grateful for both of those lessons in my life, and ultimately coming back to the hope that our hope is not in the restoration of things we will receive on this side of heaven, but our eyes on heaven, that one day, as we've talked about, we will be going to a place where there is no more pain. It says He will wipe away every tear. And that's the greatest hope to have in the midst of earthly challenges, and knowing that He is a Father of His word, that His word does not return void. And because of that, we can have a hope in Him. And so in many aspects of my life, just really challenging my mind to revert not into my hope of what I can do, but my hope in Him. And then what do I do in my life because my hope is in Him? And so, yeah, that's been the more recent learning lessons in my faith, which has been amazing. And just really feeling grateful for His restoring power of my mind and my soul and my strength through all the things that I face. And then a gift if He decides to heal me. And so, yeah, thanks so much for asking.
That was so good, Ashley. I could listen to that on repeat as just encouragement, and I think that is also something in the question that you ask yourself is a question that I found myself asking myself very much recently is, okay, if I actually believe what I say and I
Yeah.
actually believe what I'm reading about this Jesus, then
Yeah.
why am I not trusting him? If I believe who he says, if I believe that heaven is real and I believe that he has this power and that he rose from the dead, like, then of course he can do it. Of course he has the
Yeah.
power to fix some of the minute things in my life, or help walk me through them, even if he
Yeah.
doesn't fix them and or change the situation. And so I ask myself that question so frequently. And I think that's a daily thing, right? It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
this, okay, I become a Christian, and then it's like, okay, I trust God always. It's like, no, every moment it's, okay, do I believe who God says he is? Do I believe, am I going to actually live out what I say and what I
Right.
believe? And so I love that question that you shared. I think it is so important, and a visual that actually my pastor in Nashville at Crosspoint Church, Kevin Queen, recently said is just this image of Jesus like already pursuing you. And it's like a U turn. Like you turn around, but he is right there. And all you got
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
is just say, okay, God, like I'm putting it down in my hands and I'm picking up, what you have for me. And even on a run today, I was
Yeah.
thinking about that. Like, okay, this is what's going on in my mind. And I just got to make that U turn, and he's already right there. And so
Right.
I
Right.
just love the processing that you explained there, and how beautifully said that was. But I know you got a lot going on, so I'll ask you one last question. And I've actually been super excited to ask you this, so I'm saving
Yeah.
it for last, I guess. But I know you're an On athlete, which is like the brand On Cloud.
Yes.
And so I have a pair of shoes from them. I couldn't tell you which brand, but I'm not trying to say this because I'm trying to get a sponsorship. I just truthfully, I wear them like slippers. Like I will wear them around at like 10 p.m. because they are so comfortable. And so from you, I'd love to know, what is like the new On product? Maybe it's apparel, maybe it's like an
Mhm.
accessory or shoe that you're like, Annabelle, if you think you're walking around in slippers, like let me put you on something else.
Oh my gosh. Well, they have so many amazing options. I'll put that out there so you can't go wrong. Um, let's see. My favorite shoes right now are to walk around in are the Cloud Runners. To run in are the Cloud Eclipse. And they have some awesome street shoes. So if you're like so about that style, like the Roger Clubhouse, super fun shoes. Love those. They're coming out with like more colors and designs, so that's really awesome. And so I would recommend those on a shoe basis. I think their apparel has come a long way, and it's really great apparel. So any of their sweat suits I've been loving. They also have like really comfortable sweat shorts. So those are fun. Like I wear those around my apartment like no tomorrow. So that's what I would recommend. And they also with the winter attire, their leggings are great. I I'm trying to think of like the exact name of their leggings, but their leggings are really like breathable, and like I love wearing them because I don't feel like restricted at all, especially like with multiple layers. And so I would recommend those, but
Good.
you
Well,
can't
you've
go wrong
you've
with
put them all
anything.
to the test. You've put them
Yeah.
all to the test, so I trust you. But I was so excited to ask you about that because, truthfully, I think some people look at me like, "Why is she so wearing sneakers at this hour of the day?" But I love the brand. So I was excited to ask you about that. But more importantly, Ashley, thank you for just sharing your faith and your heart and your story, because I was so encouraged by it, and I've been so pumped to get you finally on this podcast and to get this going. And I know that this is going to encourage so many people, whether they're going through a tough time in life or they're on the mountaintop. Like, really, you can see Jesus so evidently through how you speak and how you live, and it is so beautiful. So we are cheering you on this season. I can't wait to see you in the Colorado Fit, and
Yeah.
just excited to for all the awesome things that are going to come in your life.
Oh, thank you, Annabelle, so much. Yeah, such a pleasure talking today. And yeah, thank you so much for your time too.
Be bolder. Woo!
Yeah, exactly.